Hello.
Hey there.
Howdy.
Do you want to talk today about where babies come from? More specifically, whale shark babies?
Whale shark. I would love to know where whale shark babies come from today, specifically.
This made me feel really dumb.
Okay.
Really dumb. And I'm going to tell you why. And then I'm going to tell you a whole bunch more facts because, I can't just Google one thing. I got to know all the things once I start. This came up because there was another animal that I had been reading about somehow. I don't know. I wasn't searching this one out, but it popped up of another animal that humans don't know how it reproduces. And they were like angry about it. Like the scientific community is like, oh my gosh, how do we not know the answer to this question? It's ridiculous. It turns out they do know the answer to that question, but I'm not going to tell you about it. But then somebody brought up to me as I was talking about how scientists were so angry that they didn't know how. It was eels. It was eels reproducing. They were.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But they have since discovered it, whatever. Anyway, but it was just funny to me that scientists were like enraged by this, right? So I was talking to somebody and they were like, they don't actually know where whale sharks reproduce. And I was like, but they're giant.
Are you about to tell me you're not telling me?
No, I am.
Where whale? Oh,
okay. No, I'm not. I'm not going to tell you, actually. That's the point. That's the point. Sorry, that was That was a wild ride in a very short amount of time. I'm not going to tell you because they don't know. But they have ideas, which is what's fascinating to me. But the part that I didn't know about, which made me feel really, really dumb, is that so some animals lay eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some animals carry babies.
Right.
And those are the ways, right? That's all I knew.
I think that's what I know.
Okay. Because marsupials, like the koalas, but they still birth the baby.
Right. And then they're still carrying.
Yeah.
And then even for a longer time, they're carrying.
And then they tuck it away. Yes. And then they just tuck it away. And they say, now you grow here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whale sharks, and I'm going to say this, and you can laugh at me, and that's fine. But they are ovoviviparous. Ovoviviparous. Okay. This is just fun for me, so I'm going to tell you. So I will tell you what it means. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so
is it a French word?
I don't know that much. Okay. Good Lord.
All right.
See, I learn all of these things, and you still tell me it's not enough.
The cruelty. Okay, go on.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this in context of other words real quick. So viviparous are the animals, like we are viviparous. We give birth directly to young ones.
Okay.
Right. Oviparous are the ones that lay eggs, typically hard shells that they have to emerge from.
Right.
Ovoviparous, which is the whale shark. Ovoviparous. There's two vivis in it.
Okay.
So it's like a combination of it. So they have these little egg pods inside the mom, but then they hatch out of their eggs still inside and then are born. But the reason that's different than the viviparous, so like most mammals, is because there's no placental attachment to the mother. Like they don't have
Okay.
like an organ connecting them to their mother, but they're born alive outside of an egg. That was the part that made me feel real, real dumb. Cause I didn't even know there was another way. I didn't know that there was anything besides
this is
laying eggs or live baby.
This is very mind-breaking at the moment for me. I
won't even say worse. I would just say there's more.
Okay. Carry on.
So they don't know where this happens. And it kind of comes in waves. It sounds like this is speculation. This is scientific speculation. It comes in waves. So whale sharks are sharks. So they they have gills and such. They don't have to surface. That was the first thing that I had to like check my brain about, because they were like, oh, they're born in the deep and then they stay there for a while. And I was like, but how? It's because they're a shark. They're not a whale. They're a shark.
Okay.
They are filter feeders. So they eat like krill and jellyfish, which every time I hear that an animal eats jellyfish, I'm just like, you just want to feel loopy, don't you? They are like a warm ocean. So like right around the equator is where they live in general. And they do know that much. Females get larger than males. All of this stuff. But the youngest that they have found, so they speculate that they're born. I don't even know if that's the right word, because whatever. Anyway.
They emerge.
They emerge from their mother. They're estimating between 40 to 70 centimeters, which is like 15 to 27-ish inches. But typically, they don't spot them shorter than like 2 meters, typically, which is why they believe that they're like born in the depths and then come up as they grow. And which is why we probably don't know where. There's like, and that's like, there's even very, very rare footage of the actual like mating of them. I think one article I said was like, there was like, oh, it was the second instance that they tried to record it. It wasn't even a successful attempt, poor guy. But, but that was in like, that was like in the 2000s. So, I mean, like I don't know. But anyway, the reason that they know anything that they know is because mostly from one single whale shark. I gotta stop saying whale. One shark, off the coast of Taiwan was caught in a fishing net. They called her Big Mama. She was caught in the net in 1995. And they found 300 embryos in her. And they weren't all the same size, which is why they think like somewhere within the reproductive cycle that they may mate with different animals, or they may retain genetic material.
Embryos. So you're saying these are not solely eggies. These are
correct.
Fertilized.
Yes.
And they're at different.
Yeah. So some of them are still stages. In their eggs, and some of them are out of their eggs but haven't emerged yet, because that's where we're gonna go with. So they do continue to like grow within the mom after they hatch out of their egg, but without any placental attachment or anything like it. Like they're free floating in there, getting bigger. Like, isn't it crazy? It's crazy.
I don't understand. Although, to be fair, I don't really understand how eggs work either.
That's fair. Does anybody?
I don't know. I assume someone
of a porous.
Must.
Do you think that you choose not to think about it too much because your least favorite animal comes out of them?
It could be. It could be.
You're just like, I don't want to think about that at all.
I really don't want to know. I've thought about too, like, because there is the whole like knowledge is power belief, right? And how like
know your enemies.
Right. Know your enemies. The more you understand something, the less you fear it. I'm not positive that's going to work in this case. And so I haven't really gone into.
I would agree.
What the squiggles do.
What the squiggles do. I just need you to know that I really do appreciate your efforts to never, it's very Voldemort-esque to not say the name. But you don't say he who must not be named. You say cute names. Takes away their power.
It does, doesn't it? I'm not giving it a more powerful name.
A more powerful name. They already had the name, okay?
Okay. So you're saying this is a shark.
Yes.
Not a whale. It's called the whale shark. So like,
correct.
They're probably calling it a whale shark because
its sheer size. Really?
Of its size. And also, is it also because they have a filtration form of eating like whales?
It is. And they are filter feeders.
Right. You said that. Is that probably why? Or,
and this is, God, I'm just feeling real dumb today. I didn't even think about the fact that most whales are filter-esque feeders.
It's silly, but the only reason that's like forefront in my brain, well, there's two reasons, okay? One is because I grew up steadily being told the story of Jonah and the whale, and when I got to a certain age, I was like, but wait, but how?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, Finding Nemo.
Okay. So this is,
you know,
this is a side tangent of the whole idea of baby whale sharks. But since you brought up Finding Dory, you've seen Finding Dory, right? I know you've seen Finding Nemo, but you've seen Finding Dory, right? Yeah. So,
it's been a while, but yeah.
Destiny is a whale shark, and they talk about how she can't see, and that's why she's always running into walls. And sometimes I just think that that's just, you know, animators doing their thing and putting an interesting depth to different animated characters. But that's a thing. They actually have amino acid exchange happening in their eyes. So like it changes their cones. So at the depths, they actually, so typically at depth, animals are more geared to like greens, I think it is. But the whale sharks are more sensitive to blue light of the deep ocean. So they can actually see fairly well in the deep of the ocean, which is why they also speculate like maybe the babies are born at depth and stay there for a while. I don't know if it's safer. I don't feel like the depths of the ocean would be safer, but that's just because I don't know it. But I bet you a whale shark would know about the depths of the ocean. But anyway, as they rise to the surface,
see better.
Yeah, they can see better at depth. But as they rise to the surface, like they can actually almost like turn it off. But if they don't turn it off, it actually leads to a form of blindness, which could explain what is happening with the whale shark in Finding Dory.
Wow.
And I'm like, you clever tricksters, you got me.
It's amazing how much like
side research
actually went into those movies. Well done them.
I want to be mad about it, but really I think it's just because like they knew and I didn't.
Yeah. That's fair. You can't know all the things before other people.
Gosh, why? I don't know. Maybe I'll figure out where whale sharks are born. They are getting closer. They've noticed like congregations around the time of what they assume would be like mating time. And then they see like very young whale sharks and like pregnant mothers around certain areas, around the time when they're like, maybe this is what's happening. Most of that is, in like along the shores of the Indian Ocean. So like India, like Northern Australia, Pakistan, Taiwan. Which, if you remember that Big Mama, the one that they nicknamed Big Mama in 1995, that they had 300 embryos, that was found off the coast of Taiwan.
Right.
So they have found, like less than 30 have been found that were less than 1.5 meters long, and mostly in fishing nets. So mostly on, you know, accident, things like that. And maybe that's why they stay in the depths. It's the human factor. That's sad. But they have also noticed around the island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, they've noticed, some pretty hefty congregations of young whale sharks and pregnant whale sharks. And, one of the very few times they've noted mating among the whale sharks has been in that same area. So the Atlantic and Indian Oceans mostly is the ideal, but they can live like and that's the other thing too. Like they, you know, I inevitably looked up how long they live and like other things about whale sharks, and they barely know that. And that's from like carbon dating, you know, like spinal elements that they have found ashore, but they estimate between 80 to 130 years. They're estimating like sexual maturity to like 25. But maybe that's why they have to carry 300 babies at a time, and why they're still, you know, doing fairly well as a species, considering. considering things. I did also find out, and I don't know why this threw me for such a loop, but their skin can be like 15 centimeters thick. That's like just shy of 6 inches thick.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't know why that was that like stuck in my brain so hard, but I mean, they're massive. They're massive anyway. Like, I think the record was like 18 meters.
So like relative to us, it's probably kind of proportional.
Yeah, I suppose, but it still makes me feel weird.
Yeah. I imagine, so like a lot of, deep sea creatures that we get, photos of or whatever.
Right.
I feel like have super thin skin, and that gives them the nightmare factor, right? Because they don't need all that protection.
But they don't stay in the depths.
They don't. Right. These ones don't stay there.
Yeah.
So it makes a little more sense that they would need to develop like a good enough skin to like.
Maybe it helps with their regulation going from, because like they stay in mostly warm waters. They stay.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're looking at a map of the world, they stay in the band around the equator. Like, it's a pretty thick band, but it's around the equator. I think it was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit. They try to stay in that level of water. But even if it's 70 degrees, that's not what it is at the depth. So maybe that. So, and they, they kind of go colder. Up and down because they eat the krill and, I think I saw somewhere like crab larvae, which I don't know, but I imagine is like literally at the bottom. Like, you have to like filter through sand and like bottom water for that. It was a weirdly specific larvae to mention, but they mentioned it. Somebody mentioned it. So I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very
for
interesting.
Sure. Also, they're very slow swimmers, which is the other reason I'm just like, they're just like bebopping along down there. And they're like, when I'm big enough, I'll go up there. But they swim about 3 miles per hour.
Huh.
Which, if we want to keep score, a moose could outswim a whale shark. It would never have to, but it could do that. And we got to take our wins where we can get them sometimes.
That's what we know. We know that for sure. My goodness.
Starting to pile up the things we know now.
Yeah, really piling them up. They're all coming together.
That's the goal, anyway.
Well, so I guess thanks for not telling me how where babies come from today.
I told you how. I just didn't tell you where. I had a guess. Well, scientists have a guess.
Scientists have a guess.
I don't know why it's just so funny to me, though. Like, I'm just like picturing, like obviously, like there's a lot of scientific research, especially like in human health sort of things, where you're like, no, that makes sense that we don't know it and that you're frustrated by it.
Yeah.
But when you think of scientists being like, where are these whales giving birth? Like, where are they?
Furiously.
It just made me giggle a little bit.
They are irate.
They're so mad. Which is probably the only reason I'm not mad about it, because somebody else has already got it covered, so I'm good.
Yeah. Otherwise, but it's like, where?
But it's still fun to think about.
Go use your Batman voice to scream at a whale shark. Wheel shark. Why do they say that?
The wheel shark. It's okay, Destiny. It's not your fault.
No.
Shoot.
All right.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Talk to you later.
Bye.